All right, well, today is June the 12th, 2018, and right now at 11:20 p.m., we have a temperature of 67 degrees here in the foothills of Los Angeles. The relative humidity is 53%. The dew point is 49 degrees, and the barometer is reading 29.89 inches. And we are looking at the East Pacific water vapor loop right now. We can see Hurricane Bud right here. This has been knocked down to Category 1 status today. We can see that here in the 7½ hour loop, we have a very well-defined eyewall in the beginning of that loop. And towards the end, we see a transmitter, a satellite-based transmitter, superheating the north side of this storm. And so we see the eyewall is disrupted, and we see a big cutout as the water vapor is evaporated up here on this upper side of that hurricane. And so what's happening is that the transmitter is superheating this area, and we see rapid evaporation. We see a blast pattern. If we go to the IR map right here, we can see a hole opening up adjacent to that eyewall, which completely disrupts the convective process within that hurricane. And so the descending air from this transmitter has disrupted the rotation as well as the convective process. And so the eyewall has disappeared halfway through this loop. And so this storm was a weak Category 4 storm here a day and a half ago, and now it is a Category 1 storm with 80-mile-per-hour winds. Let's go ahead and take a look at the National Hurricane Center map. We can see that currently right now we have 80-mile-per-hour winds. The central pressure has risen to 983 millibar. This was down around 947 millibar just about a day and a half ago. And the storm has slowed down. It's moving at 3 miles per hour to the northwest. And so the storm is forecast to move right up towards Cabo San Lucas right here, which is at the tip of the Baja Mexico peninsula. So we'll keep an eye on that. And let's go ahead and take a look again at the East Pacific water vapor loop. We can see that storm being worked on. And we can see the blast pattern, these rings which expand out radially from the center. Right here we can see the center. They've blown a hole right through the upper side of that hurricane. And basically the same thing happened to Aletta, which there's really nothing left of Aletta, which is right out here, the remnants of Aletta. That storm was, that was a strong Category 4. I think that storm was up at 140-mile-per-hour winds on the 8th and the 9th. And the same thing happened. The storm was blown apart. Aletta, which was out here, that storm was blown apart. The same way that we're seeing here on Hurricane Bud. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of these other maps. I presume that this storm will be knocked down probably to a tropical storm status overnight, and whatever remnants are left will drift north and bring some rain up to the northern Mexico region. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Northeast Pacific water vapor loop. We can see that there's a giant area of thunderstorms right here over the Oklahoma and Kansas area. We'll have to keep an eye on this. This will probably deliver a lot of hail and wild weather to that area. We can see a pressure wave right there moving out to the west. Right here. Right there, moving out to the west. So this area right here has been targeted and superheated. And in the coming hours, we'll get to see the blast pattern develop, and this entire supercell will probably diminish. It'll just implode, much the same way we see on these cumulonimbus clouds that I've been featuring in the playlists. Now over here, we have this is a storm with 3 separate low pressure systems right here spinning inside of this area right here. And of course we see that right angle. We can go ahead and stop the loop, and put the envelope on that for perspective, we can see how square that cutout is. So we see the manipulation. This is a satellite transmitter creating that right angle. And we can see as we rotate through the frames just how square that is. Fits perfectly into that contour. And so this is another example of a satellite transmitter creating an imprint here. And what's happening is that this activity separates the frontal system, the associated frontal system. The moisture that wraps into that vortex is being redirected away from the vortex. This is the low pressure center. Higher pressure always flows to lower pressure, but in this case here, we see this nefarious activity, which is preventing this moisture from wrapping back around into that vortex. We see a portion of that here, the moisture wrapping back around, but the majority of this is moving clockwise away from this vortex. And so that's how these storms are weakened. Let's go ahead and take a look at the surface analysis map. And this is the area we were just looking at 40 degrees north. There are actually 3 lows comprised of that developing storm. So we see the developing storm indicated here. And we actually have an occluded front in the middle of this developing storm area right here. So we've got a cold front down here, and we have an occluded front, which is a warm front overtaking the cold front. So that is the transmitter manipulation evidence right here, this occluded front. If you go back to the map, we can see the heated descending air is creating this boundary, this right angle, which is preventing this cooler moisture from wrapping around and getting into that these vortexes. We've got one here, and another one looks like right here. There's actually 3 listed on the map, on the surface map. So we can see the clockwise rotation here. All of this is peeling away. This is actually the jet stream flowing right into Oregon and Washington. So we've got the jet stream flow. We can see something here starting to spin counterclockwise right there over British Columbia right there. And today we had very hot temperatures in Southern California, clear skies, and the humidity was down in the mid-20s. So the last few days, the humidity has continued to drop, and it's very dry and very hot. No chemtrails visible in the skies over Los Angeles today, but yesterday we saw the dissipating trails. There was chemtrail haze the previous few days prior to today. And based on what we're seeing here, it is possible, because we do have low pressure. Let's go ahead and look at these pressure maps real quick. We have the, this is the sea level pressure map. We can see that hurricane down on the lower right down here. This is Bud. This was a very powerful storm down at 947 millibar central pressure here just a day and a half ago. So we see that storm down here, and we have low pressure indicated right here over the Four Corners states, down into Mexico, and a portion of Arizona right here. Low pressure at the surface level. We also have a low over here, over approaching Canada, and one further out over here. Now let's take a look at the, notice these ripply lines. These are not smooth flowing lines like we should be seeing out here over the ocean. All these isobars should be smooth flowing lines with not a lot of squigglies and angles and different things, but that's what we're seeing here. That is transmitter manipulation breaking down these the high pressure in the area. We've got low pressure here. If we look at the 500 millibar map, we can see that they've got high pressure stacked on top of low pressure, and this has been installed. This area of high pressure, we can see the manipulation right here. This is at the 500 millibar level. That is installed to block this storm here, which is moving northbound, Bud right here. So we've got next we have the 300 millibar map. We see a high right here, and we've got the remnants of this is Aletta right here, an upper level low, closed low right there. and this is surrounded with high pressure. So we've got basically more heat on the way for Southern California based on this pattern. Look at these squiggly lines here. We have a curlicue right here on the isobar. This is something that's very strange. Should never see this. That's evidence of manipulation. These transmitters, these satellite-based transmitters, are causing these isobars to look this way. This is a mixture of high and low pressure all mixed together. You're forcing descending air on top of the surface low right here. We're back at the surface map once again. This is a surface low. And so to prevent this storm from moving north and bringing precipitation to the southwest, these terrorists controlling our weather have installed high pressure at the 500 and 300 millibar level. And that will block this northbound storm. So we'll have to keep an eye on things and see what happens. Here's the jet stream. We see the high-speed flow right into Washington. Okay, getting back to the rainbow map here for the Northeast Pacific, we can see that right angle right up here. We can see the effect right here where this moisture is not allowed to flow back into the center of this low pressure right here. It's basically cut off. This is an electronic wall. This is probably a phased array microwave transmitter, satellite based. It could also be laser. There's only a couple of ways you can do this. This is a huge weather system. And so these are space-based tools, and they're using these tools to modify our weather, to prevent rain in certain areas and to flood out other regions around the world that aren't on board with the policies of certain governments. Okay, here's the tropical wide view for the Eastern Pacific. We have the Hawaiian Islands right here, which look to be fairly clear right now. And then we have Hurricane Bud way out here on the right. Okay, so we'll just keep an eye on things, and we will do another update here shortly. We've got the Doppler map. I don't think I showed this yet. We've got no rain showing up anywhere in the southwest. Okay, that's it.